Hey there and welcome. I want to show a practical example of when to use inheritance and composition. I have this class, fully centered VBox. I created the class because I kept having to write the same code. And I also kept having to write the same code to show the GUI components and then later to restore the original components that were visible before I decided to show these components. That's why I created a new class. And here I have used composition. Instead of using inheritance and extending the VBox, I have put the VBox inside my new fully centered VBox class. I did need some methods on the VBox though. If I had used inheritance, I would have been able to access those easily, but now that I have used composition, I needed to write some extra methods. So I had to write getChildren and getBreadthWidth property. Let's look at the version where I did use inheritance. We just have two fields, main scene and original root. Of course, I still have to add the styling, the centering, the containers, but I did not have to write the additional getters because those getters are on VBox and I'm extending VBox. So in this case, inheritance would have been a cleaner choice. However, I had originally chosen composition, and now during development I'm adding new code to the class. Let's see how that looks. The new code that I want to add to the fully centered VBox is getNode for grabbing the node. So instead of showing the node by replacing the root of the main scene, I want to get the node and add it somewhere else in the user interface. That means that when constructing the fully centered VBox, I might not actually have a main scene. So I added another constructor that does the generic code. When I do have a main scene, I call that constructor. So this statement calls this constructor. And then because I do have the main scene, I set that too. But when I don't have the main scene, I call this constructor. That means the main scene and the original root are null. That creates a problem. Suddenly, I now have to do null checks on the main scene. So now my code is becoming ugly and I have to do something. Do I have to start throwing exceptions? Exceptions are ugly, bad. You don't want to do that. So now I'm thinking, okay, I guess these two different functionalities should not be in one class. So now I'm going to create a basic fully centered VBox, and then I'm going to add another fully centered VBox that extends the basic fully centered VBox. So I'm starting with a class that only does the basic code, the generic code that keeps getting repeated. You can get the node, the children, and the preferred width property. Now, to get the other method of showing the GUI component, the show method, I take this version 3 of the fully centered VBox, I extend it, make a version 4, and simply add only that particular constructor, which calls super of course, and then the show and restore main scene methods. So now here we have taken the initial fully centered VBox, then we have extended it and added more functionality. So this is a good example of when you want to use inheritance. And still want to show the original, so here I did composition, and I want to point out again that really here composition was not that great a choice. I should just have done inheritance, because it saves me a few methods. The fact that those methods are hidden when using composition might actually be a good thing. When using composition, we don't have access to the VBox methods. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we actually want to hide methods on the VBox. If we use inheritance, all of those methods become accessible to whomever has access to the instance of fully centered VBox. By using composition, we can hide those methods and only exposing those methods that we actually want to expose. I hope that was a bit clear and helpful, and thank you for watching.